Hello guys, welcome into this tutorial. So today I'm going to be going over my hair scrunchies. I have a crochet hair scrunchie pattern bundle here with 3 different types of hair scrunchies. So I'm going to show you how to do these beautiful cotton lace hair scrunchies. We're going to be doing the regular hair scrunchie, and we're also going to be doing this extra fluffy ruffle jumbo lace hair scrunchie that has this ending row with these little ruffles, and it makes a super big fluffy full hair scrunchie compared to the regular one, which is pretty full on its own. Of course, this beautiful new lace hair scrunchie. So 3 different types of hair scrunchies here, so let's get to it. The first one I'm going to do is this one right here, this Lacy hair scrunchie. So for yarn, you can use any 4-weight yarn that you like to use for cotton. So this is an I Love This cotton right here. This is a KC cotton, and this is a Mainstays cotton. They're all a number 4 weight. You can also use a number 3 weight. That would work fine too if you had it. This is great for stash busting. You're not going to use a lot of yarn for this, so just grab some cotton yarn that you have. A good size ball will do. We're also going to need a 4mm crochet hook, and if you don't have a 4mm, if you happen to have a 5, that would work fine also. You're also going to need hair elastics. I buy these online. I get them in a packet, and they have just a variety of colors. So I'm going to use this brownish colored one today. You're also going to need a yarn needle. You're going to need one of these to sew in your ends. You're going to need a pair of scissors, and I like to have a stitch marker on hand just to mark some of my rows. Sometimes it can be a little confusing to find your start place, so a stitch marker is a big help also. Okay, so you're going to grab your hair elastic and your 4mm crochet hook and your yarn, and I like to leave a nice tail to weave in my ends at the end of this project. You're going to make a slip knot. Put your hook on your slip knot, a single crochet right around my hair elastic like that. And I'm going to add around 60 single crochets, and you can add as many as you can fit on your hair elastic, and we're going to be pushing our single crochets over to fit more on here. And it's okay if you stretch it a little bit, that's fine, because you're going to stretch this hair elastic anyway. So add 60, if you can fit on here, 60 single crochets. So continue adding your 60 single crochets onto your hair elastic, and I will meet you at the end. Make sure you're pushing your single crochets, scooching them over to fit more single crochets in here. Okay, so I've got 60 single crochets on here. It's okay if you're stretching your hair elastic a little bit, that's fine. Make sure your row is not twisted like this. So just make sure if it's curled a little bit, you untwist it. You are gonna join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet here. So stick your hook in there, reach in, grab your yarn, and pull it through. That is a slip stitch, and this is how it should look after row 1. Okay, for round 2, we're going to chain 4. And that chain 4 is going to count for our first double crochet and a chain 1. And now we're going to put a double crochet into every single stitch, and we're going to do a chain 1 in between. So every single stitch is going to be getting a double crochet, chain 1. double crochet, chain 1, and continue that all around this round, and that is what it's looking like. Okay, we're just continuing putting a double crochet, chain 1 in every stitch. So I've got one more single crochet left. So double crochet, chain 1, and we're going to count up 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch to join. So insert your hook and just pull through all of those stitches to join. And this is how it should look after row 2. Okay, for round 3, we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That chain 5 is going to count for 1 double crochet and chain 2. We're going to turn our work, and we're going to put 1 double crochet into each of these chain spaces here that we made from the previous row. So that's a double crochet, and then we're going to chain 2, and we're going to continue putting 1 double crochet, chain 2 into each of these spaces that we made from this chain 1 on the previous row. So we've got a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, and this is what it should look like. And just continue doing those stitches all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so we're just continuing to make 1 double crochet, chain 2 in each of these spaces from the previous row. So we have done our double crochet into the last chain space, and we have chained 2, and we're going to join with a slip stitch in the 3rd chain. So it might be easier just to count 2 over. Just make sure you're going into that 3rd chain of our chain 5 there. Now we are going to start round 4. This is what it should look like at the end of round 3. And we are going into round 4. For round 4, we're going to do a slip stitch. So insert your hook into that space, grab your yarn, and just pull it through the hook. Like that. We're just getting over to that center of this chain space. And we are going to do a single crochet, and then we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to turn our work, and we're going to put a stitch marker here in this space just to designate our beginning of this row. It just makes it a lot easier. We are going to do a single crochet now in each of these chain spaces from the previous row. So 1 single crochet, chain 4, 1 single crochet, and I like to just tighten my single crochet, and then chain 4. We're going to repeat this all the way around this round. So just keep doing your single crochet, chain 4, and I will meet you at the end of round 4. And this is what it should be looking like for round 4. And I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, we're approaching the end of round 4. We're doing single crochet, chain 4s. Okay, so I'm going to put my last single crochet there because there's a single crochet here where we started. So I'm going to do my final chain 4. We're just going to connect with a slip stitch here in that first single crochet that we did to end round 4. And this is what the end of round 4 should look like. So for round 5, we're going to make 2 slip knots to get up to the center of this next chain space. We're going to put 1 single crochet at the top, and then we're going to chain 4, and we're going to put a single crochet in the next chain space, chain 4, single crochet in the next chain space, chain 4, and you're just going to continue this all the way around for our last round. So continue this, and I will meet you at the end of round 5. Okay, we're approaching the end of round 5. I've done my last chain 4. I'm doing a single crochet into the last chain space here, and we have 1 more chain 4 to do to connect. So 1, 2, 3, 4 chains, and then we're just going to connect with a slip stitch at the first single crochet that we did here in the row. Do 1 more chain and pull your yarn through, cut your yarn, and you're going to weave in all of your ends, and this is what your scrunchie should look like at the end of round 5. That's your ending here, and you're going to take your darning needle and you're going to weave in all of your ends. You are going to weave in your end where we ended on our row 5, and I like to make a knot just to make sure it's secure. Weave in your end nicely. Okay, and there's your beautiful hair scrunchie. I hope you love this tutorial. The written pattern is available on my Etsy. And if you wanted to, you can just continue and do more ruffle rows if you want, and make this as wide as you want to. But this is a fun little cotton hair scrunchie that is just so cute. For this next tutorial, we're going to be making this nice ruffle hair scrunchie. I usually do these in acrylic, so you're going to need some acrylic yarn. Today I will be using this Big Twist Value, and the colorway is Juniper Shrub. It's a nice variegated green, but you could use any scrap acrylic yarn that you have, and this is a 4-weight medium acrylic yarn, and this is the hair scrunchie. You're going to need a hair elastic. You're going to need a number 6mm crochet hook. You're going to need a yarn needle, darning needle, tapestry needle to weave in your ends. A stitch marker, it might become handy for you if you're a beginner. You're going to need a pair of scissors. I like to do a knot around my hair scrunchie, or you can do a slip knot and connect it with a slip knot. Either way works fine. So you're going to want to put around 60, 65, how many single crochets you can fit on your hair scrunchie. So add your single crochets to your hair scrunchie, and you're going to keep pulling back your stitches so you can add more. So just put as many single crochets as you can fit on your hair scrunchie. Keep pulling it back like this to fit more on here. Like I said, hair elastics are different sizes, so you might be able to fit more single crochets or less single crochets on your hair elastic. So continue putting your single crochets on here. I'm going to give a quick count to my single crochets to see where I am. Okay, I've got about 62 on there, and I think that's good. So my hair elastic isn't stretched too much, and we're going to join with a slip stitch. So that ends round 1, and this is what it should look like at the end of round 1. Okay, so after we have finished round 1, we're going to start with round 2 by chaining up 3. That chain 3 is going to count as our first double crochet. We're going to put 2 more double crochets right into that same stitch that we just made this chain from. So go right down into that same first hole right there with 2 more double crochets. Okay, so after we have made our first cluster of double crochets, now we're going to be putting 3 double crochets into each single crochet that we did. So here's all of our single crochet stitches right here. Here's the next one, the next one, the next one. So put 3 double crochets into every single one of these single crochets from the previous row. Okay, every single crochet is going to get 3 double crochets. Continue that all around, and I will meet you up at the end of the row. This is what it looks like. Okay, we're getting close to the end here. This is what it should look like. You're going to see all these ruffles. So just continue putting your 3 double crochets into each single crochet stitch from the previous row. Okay, so at the end of round 2, we finished all of our double crochets, and we're just going to join with a slip stitch into the chain 3 here, the top of the chain 3. We're going to do a 1 single crochet, and then we're going to turn our work. And for our final round, for round 3, we're going to put 1 single crochet into each stitch. This is going to create a nice little border. And if you're using scrap yarn, you can do this in a contrasting color to add some variety to your scrunchies. So just continue doing 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, and I will meet you at the end of this hair scrunchie. Okay, so we are approaching the start, and I forgot to tell you that for you beginners, you might want to put a stitch marker when you start this round 3, just to help you designate where your starting point was. Okay, so we're just continuing putting single crochets all in our stitches from round 2. So here's our last one right here. And I'm going to pull my yarn and cut my yarn, and wouldn't it so happen that I have a factory knot right there, so I'm going to cut that factory knot out and hope that I have enough. All right, so you can take your stitch marker out. So we've got our end here, and we're going to put on our darning needle, and you're going to go into this very first single crochet that you did here into this first stitch here. So we're going to go into there from the front. We're going to pull front again, and we're going to go in the center of this stitch. We're not going to pick up this first bottom loop here, this first loop. We're going to skip that and go into the center, and we're going to go straight through the back. That makes a nice join there. And then you're going to put a little knot back here. I like to go right on that stitch right there and put a nice knot, nice and neat. And then you're going to hide your ends as neatly as you can back here. Cut off all of your ends. If you have your tail from the very beginning that we did, so grab that tail and make sure you weave in that end also. If your tail is ever too short to put on your darning needle and go in this way, you can just back up your end here. So just go in through the back, skip some stitches, pull those ends through. Cut off. Okay, and there's our beautiful hair scrunchie. And you can do these in so many different colors. You can use up your scraps. Let me show you some other color combinations that I've made. You can use variegated yarn. You can do that final row with a contrasting color. So this is a 2-color hair scrunchie. All you're doing is changing color on that final row. Again, here's another beautiful variegated yarn. So I hope you like this tutorial for these beautiful hair scrunchies. They're so cute and so full. I just love them. And I'm going to show you one more version next. Okay, for this last hair scrunchie, we're going to be making this really extra full lace ruffle acrylic hair scrunchie. I make these in acrylic and they have this nice lace detailing on our final row. So we're going to use this holiday yarn for today. This is some Joann's Christmas yarn, but any 4 or even 3 weight yarn will do. So use up your stash. Again, we're going to need a darning needle. We're going to need a pair of scissors. A stitch marker is really handy for beginners. And I usually use a 6mm crochet hook. So we're going to take our elastic and you can join 2 different ways. So let me show you the 2 different ways. So you can make a slip knot and insert your hook. Hold it up to your hair elastic and you can just insert your hook into the hair elastic and do a slip stitch here. Or you can just tie a knot around your yarn. Make sure you leave a tail. So just tie a little knot around. That's a really easy way to get started. So either way, you just want to get your yarn on your hair elastic. We're going to take our hook. We're going to insert it in and we're going to pull up a single crochet. And just like our hair scrunchie that we did before, we are going to put as many single crochets as we can on your hair elastic. Your hair elastic might be larger or smaller than mine. I usually get around 60 to 65 single crochets. So keep putting your single crochets on here until you reach around 60, 65, anywhere around there is fine. And you're going to keep pulling your hair elastic and pulling those stitches over to the right if you're right-handed so that you can fit more single crochets on. So keep adding your single crochets onto your hair elastic and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so when you are at the end of round 1 and you've put all of your single crochets onto your hair elastic, we're going to join with a slip stitch here in that very first single crochet. So insert your yarn and pull through for a slip stitch. We're going to start round 2. That's what the end of round 1 looks like. So to start round 2, we're going to chain 3 and we're going to insert 2 more double crochets into that same stitch. Okay, so 1 stitch there is going to have our chain 3 and 2 double crochets, and then every single stitch, okay, they're really squished together, but every single stitch on this round is going to get 3 double crochets. So continue putting 3 double crochets in each one of these single crochets from the previous round. That's what it should look like. So continue putting 3 double crochets in each of these stitches, and I will meet you at the end of this round. Okay, so we are approaching the end. We're putting 3 double crochets into each of these stitches from the previous row. It can get very tight at the end here, so just do your best. Okay, that was our last one. Again, I like to fold it, that way I don't snag. And we're going to do a slip stitch. You're going to insert your hook right in the top of that chain 3. You're going to pull your yarn through those loops to connect. We're going to chain 3 and turn our work. And we're going to be putting 1 single crochet into the next stitch. And this is round 3, and we're going to chain 3, and we're going to put another single crochet into the next stitch. We're going to chain 3. We're not skipping any, so put 1 single crochet into every stitch, chain 3, single crochet, and I like to pull my single crochets tight, and chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, and again we're not skipping, we're just making this nice little lace ruffle around the final row. So just continue that, and I will meet you at the end of this row. Okay, I thought I was videotaping and I was not to end that row. So you are just going to continue making your chain 3s and your single crochets. And when you get to the very beginning, you're going to connect with a slip stitch. And then you're going to cut your yarn and fasten off and weave in your ends. I hope you love this hair scrunchie. It is so nice and full and thick. And it has this beautiful lace detail on it, which is so beautiful. It makes it just extra full. So this yarn is from Joann's. I cannot remember what it is called. It's one of their Christmas yarns. I've lost the label, but it is some Christmas yarn that I have left over from Joann's. So gorgeous. And then this was our regular ruffle hair scrunchie. And again, you could put as many chains and make this as full as you want to. That's our regular one. And then we made our Lacey Cotton Hair Scrunchie. I just love this new cotton one. So pretty. I hope you love this tutorial. And again, if you are selling any of these, especially on Etsy, if you're selling items made from my pattern, please put in the description, pattern by Melody Yarn Tinka. I would really appreciate that so much. I hope you love these hair scrunchies. And the written pattern's available as a bundle on my Etsy shop. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.